before we stop the session, we have this small panel discussion. I'd like all presenters to be on the panel. It's just a simple panel discussion. Can I have all the speakers on the panel? Yeah, thank you. Okay, I think I just going to discuss very simple. It's just a simple point. Okay, each of the countries have got different experiences, different experience with Moko disease, experience with Xanthomas, and of course Australia has got a different kind of situation over there. So my question for this panel discussion is just that, can you just prioritize 2 research agendas so that we can sort of get what in mind? You have 2 research agendas, but prioritize the 2 top ones. We just want to listen to what your priorities are in the research area, so that for us, TFNet, we can get all this together and maybe think of some kind of collaboration in the future. So maybe I'll start with Australia, Dr. Nandita. What do you think are the 2 main research areas we need to look into in bacterial disease of banana?
Yeah, going through all those presentations, it looks like that bacterial COM is a common problem, and has described different new and earlier reported causal organism for that one. And because we need the direct application at the field, it is good if we can have some management strategies using some of the cultural techniques or the soil amendments, biocontrol, which can work against that one. Okay. And especially when tissue culture plants are showing everywhere a little bit more increase of incidence of bacterial COM rot, there should be a little bit hardening technique, or what stage they should be gone to the field, or at what depth they should be planted. I think these simple kind of techniques could help farmers directly. And I know that there is lots of research going on the research point of view, but at the moment, I think Australian growers are looking for some applications which we can directly use in the field. Right. So something on the management we are looking for.
So more management, cultural methods, yeah. Okay, so what I'm saying is the priorities have got to be some kind of generic where it's applicable. But I know Australia has got a different situation. It's more biosecurity because you have it all well contained. But it's good that you're giving us ideas which can be generic. I mean, it can be applied anywhere else. Yeah.
Yes, and diagnostic is always, I think, the first one, that what we have and how to handle those pathogens. So I think diagnostics and diagnostic techniques should be, I think, should more references to go further.
Yes, thank you very much, Dr. Nandita. Okay, I'll go ahead and Dr. Rozeita, maybe you want to add some priorities in the research area. Which other thing is the one which we should focus on now? I mean, looking at our situation, listening to all the speakers.
Okay, Mr. Yacob, yeah. Thank you for the question. I guess in Malaysia situation, where we already almost complete our ISR, induced systemic resistance for banana bacterial disease. I guess we are focused on that for commercialization. Yeah, now it's in the stage of on the hotspot for large scale. Then after that, we are moving forward for the commercialization with a company, so that the product could be the banana ISR seedling could be distributed to all the banana plantation in Malaysia. And then as well as the biological control, as I mentioned in my slide, we are looking forward to formulate the bacteriophage to develop the products, as well as the breeding for resistant. Yeah, so now we are working very hard for to do the breeding to get a new variety of banana for resistant. or at least highly tolerant to the banana bacterial disease. Yeah, that's the area that I guess we should focus in future. Yeah.
Yes, thank you very much, Dr. Rozeita. Next, I'll go on Dr. Yunhao. Yes, you want to add anything on the research priorities, which we should concentrate, we should focus on? Dr. Yunhao, your mic is off. Yeah. Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, please, yeah. Well, what do you think are the two research priorities we should
Okay.
yeah.
In fact, I have dedicated for the research of the effectors of the Rostonia thermal stream for almost 20 years, and we found that this is a fundamental research in the mechanism of this bacteria of the plant disease. But now, just discovering several research, but we may focus more on the biological control. We should not use for a long time of the bactericide for the bacterial wilt and the banana disease. So we are trying to find out the bacillus subtilis of the plant and the anaphytic plant of the bacillus subtilis for the biological control. We are working on this, and also for the banana fish rot, we hope there are more samples from all multi regions of the world will be collected, not only just the southern of the China, almost in the Indonesia, in the South Africa, and we hope that more samples from the banana fish rot will be collected. We will
samples, more samples, you say?
Yeah, more samples of the banana fish rot. Samples can figure out why the Klebsiella varicola can cause the disease of the banana petio tissues disease in recent years. Why? So we want more samples. It's very important for research mechanisms of this disease. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. We go ahead, Dr. Lorna, Philippines.
Yes, Dr. Yacob. For us, we would just like to look into more detail on the dry rat and bugtok, and all, even with moko, since it has the same causal organism. But especially that of dry rat, if ever it's just the severe or initial symptoms of bugtok, we want to look into that. Now, for the effectiveness of the control strategies, actually we want to see if there are still other alternative measures that can be done, especially for the management of the insect vectors. I think that's what we want to focus.
Yeah, thank you. So you're talking about the other measures which we can adopt to control the spread and manage the disease. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. We'll go ahead with Catur. Have you done? Have you said it? Catur, yeah, we go to Catur now. Dr. Catur. Just let us know what do you think are the two priorities in research to manage the disease? Your mic is off. Your mic is off.
Yeah. Okay. I think Indonesia, Malaysia, and the Philippines and the Peninsula should work together.
Yes.
Because we have the same problem.
Exactly.
That's the first thing, time to see the epidemiological point of view, the etiology, and so on. And then we need to think about if the bacterials will coexist, because we know Rostonia, CCG, Xanthomonas, Pectobacterium, Klebsiella, and so on. What if the bacteria coexist in the same situation? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Catur. We go ahead with Dr. Loga, my friend. Dr. Loga Morgan, yeah, you want to add something?
Actually, in India is concerned, major problem is comb rot or rhizome rot or soft rot disease. So our priority should be ensuring supply of quality planting material by biogardening with biocontrol agents. That should be the priority, because as of now we are supplying 455 millions of tissue culture seedling. But the requirement is 3,436 TC banana seedling all over India requirement. So it may likely to be increased in near future. So only tissue culture seedlings are going to be occupied in banana industry instead of sucker planting material. So the problem will be more. So for ensuring the supply of quality planting material, we have to supply biohardened TC plant. That is the first priority. The second one is, I cannot neglect that the other diseases are not available, because as of now we conducted a survey, but there is no in-depth survey, nook and corner of all state of India, because India is wide country and cultivated commercial crops all over India in different parts. So in-depth sensitization, like some Bioversity International, some organizations support us, we can do the holistic survey and we can sensitize the people to avoid the incursion of our exotic diseases. Like, because Fusarium tropical dry spore was not noticed earlier, but all of a sudden it has been introduced, or we do not know whether it is introduced or not, but it happened in Bihar and Uttar Pradesh, but it is likely to be spread to other part of states. Likewise, so new disease we don't want to introduce, so we want to sensitize the people on priority. Second thing, for all the speakers, I would like to know, we spoke about the particular disease prevalent in particular country, but we didn't. We have not thought of what is the reason in India we do not have other disease. What's the reason in Australia that other diseases are not prevalent, like flea flies? So basically, what we have to do in general, my opinion is we can go for three factors. One is microbial assay, whether the other microorganisms which support the seedling, which the other pathogenic disease cannot enter into. Then other thing is whether external factor like climatic factor, weathers play a major role. The third one is whether it is genome played a major role. We do not know, because unless otherwise we do have the research work on this area. So all three areas may be carried out for the sake of banana industry as a whole in a worldwide. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Loga. We go ahead with our last speaker, Dr. Gee, if you have anything to add. Yeah, we want you to add. Dr. Gee, you have anything to add on the research priorities? What do you think is important to forward this banana, agenda?
Yeah, well, I think when just looking at Xanthomonas wilt, I think surveys need to be done, especially at the western front in the Congolese highlands. As I said, the disease is spreading westwards into the Congo basin, and the plantain production in Congo and beyond, going westwards, is at risk. I mean, there are some locations where Xanthomonas wilt is already affecting plantains, in the basin close to the eastern Congolese highlands. So surveys, risk assessment. I think it's also important to do screening of wild Musa relatives. I mean, some initial work has already been carried out, but looking at a wider pool of wild relatives, I think results from that screening work can then feed into, as I mentioned, the trans or cisgenic work, and the breeding work that I think is another whole other dimension that is quite needed. Maybe, as I have talked a lot about single disease stem removal and incomplete systemicity for the case of Xanthomonas wilt, it might be interesting to also for the case of MOCO or blot disease also look at bacterial movements within a mat of physically interconnected stems to see if also the type of incomplete systemicity that is observed for Xanthomonas wilt is also occurring for MOCO or blot disease. I mean, from what I've heard, I don't think anybody has done in-depth research, but from what I've heard, there may be a better bacterial movement in the case of MOCO or blot disease. So maybe SDSR will not work that well for the case of MOCO or blot disease. Yeah, and that's maybe not really research, but the scaling of knowledge of control packages is always, yeah, I mean, highly important. There has been already a lot of knowledge transfer and scaling in East and Central Africa, but still a lot more needs to be done. Again, for example, in the Congo Basin, where at that disease front, where the disease is now spreading westwards and is potentially going to impact the plantain production in Central and West Africa.
Thank you very much, Dr. Guy. Well, I think I just could summarize what we just discussed a couple of minutes ago. I think there's just three main things here. One, you study the distribution of the disease. Number two is go into transgenics, breeding. And number three is we're talking about cultural management, cultural and biological control. I think we can sort of summarize it into this three main topics, if you agree with me. Yeah. Okay, I think I've taken a lot of time, and we've taken a lot of people's time. We've shot 26 minutes past the time. You know, so I just like to thank everybody. The speakers have been excellent. I'd like to thank you again, and I'd like to thank the participants who are still with us and who've been with us for the last 3 hours. Thank you so much for listening. Okay, the video for the session today will be available on YouTube maybe in a couple of days. We'll inform everybody. We'll send you an email so that you can just look back and, you know, and look at what you said, or look at what we've been talking about. Okay, again, I'd like to thank you so much. I really appreciate your presence here. I think there's been a lot of things discussed, a lot of things being shared, and very good information. Thank you so much again. We'll meet in another occasion sometime. Thank you again. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. You have a good day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
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 Thank you to all the chairmen. Thank you, Nandita, Rozeita,
Thanks,
Yunhao,